To take home the golden gloves, you've got to put in the work, and you've got to be tough as nails. Ashley Kalis was driven to achieve. Today, Kalis is still fueled by that same hope, grit, and determination. A mother of 3 school-aged boys and successful business owner who ran testing and vaccination sites across the state. Kalis is the fighter Rhode Island needs right now because it's time for a change. Ashley Kalis for governor.
Good evening and welcome back to the Washington Outsider Report on the Coalition Radio. For those who are newly joining the program, my name is Irina Zuckerman and I'm the editor-in-chief of the Washington Outsider. Today's guest is Sirwan Mansouri. He is a journalist and an expert on the plight of the Iranian refugees in Turkey. We'll be discussing Turkey-Iran relations with him today. The situation with the Iranian terrorists on Turkish soil, the plight of the refugees, and whether or not these two countries are friends, enemies, something in between. What is the direction of their relationship? What should Western countries know and understand about it? Sirwan, welcome to the Washington Outsider Report. Thank you so much for joining us. If you could start by having you tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Arina. Thank you for inviting me. Hello and hello to you and your audience. First of all, let me to describe myself briefly. I'm Sirwan Mansouri, a Kurdish journalist, Kurdish dissident from Iranian Kurdistan. I was captured several times, tortured, jailed. And because all of these activities, because of my activities in Iran, due to my human rights activities, political activities as journalist, I had to left Iran finally, and reside in Turkey as a refugee. I've been living here for more than 9 years. I have been recognized as a refugee, but still waiting to be transferred to a third country, but not yet. I continue to my activities as a journalist here, and I focus especially on the refugee rights activities because I'm a refugee too. But beside it, I try to reveal the Iranian bad activities, the Iranian correct activities inside Turkey, including the IRGC forces activities, the security forces activities inside Turkey, because you know Iran and Turkey are neighbors. They are a good relationship and mutual ties from viewpoints of economical and as you know, political. So because of that, Turkey is like a backyard for Iran to play in it. And there are many Iranian forces, security forces in Iran. Now, let me to say you some examples. Perhaps you know that Iran has assassinated some journalists inside Turkish soil. For example, Masoud Molavi, one of the Iranian dissidents who was managing the Telegram channel named Black Case. And Iran assassinated him in Istanbul. Even Turkish judicial forces accuses one of the Iranian members of consulate in Istanbul that have been taking part in this assassination, and arrested some others. And for the another example, one of the Iranian journalists named Arash Shoai Shab was kidnapped in one city, one of the Kurdish cities in Turkey, in Iranian borders. And there are a lot of these examples. For example, another example is the manager of one of the Persian televisions, one of the Persian channels inside Turkey that has been assassinated, and it's not clear that who was taking part in this assassination, and it's not yet obvious for us, and the Turkish government doesn't reveal the file for public to know who was behind this assassination. These are just some examples of what Iranian security and emergency forces are doing inside Turkey. But as the Turkish relation with Iran is going to be worse, at that time, Turkey tried to arrest some of these bands, some of these groups, some of these members of Iranian forces inside Turkey. It depends on the mutual ties between Iran and Turkey. Every time they are in a good manner, perhaps Iran has an open hand to do more. But at the other side, when Turkey push pressure on the Iran, or the situation is bad for Iran, so Turkey tries to arrest them, Turkey tries to rebuild them, Turkey tries to send them back to Iran, or just to make them responsible in Turkish courts. This is just some examples I said to you to be clear with the case in this program.
Before we discuss some of the very interesting examples that you have mentioned and that I have been trying to follow, I wanted to get kind of a clear picture. What is the size of the Iranian diaspora and in Turkey, and how many of those members approximately consist of minorities such as Kurds, Ahwazi Arabs, or other non-Persian groups?
Yeah, the situation is worse for minorities, as you know, because minorities bear double discriminations, multi-discriminations on themselves. For example, I can mention one of the Ahwazi dissidents from Sweden that came to Turkey to meet his girlfriend, but he was arrested, he was kidnapped by a band, Iran-backed band, and was transferred to Iran, and now he's in Iran and is the danger of execution. Another example about an Iranian dissident from Germany, I don't remember the name now, that was traveled to some of the Iranian neighbors, I think one of the Arab countries, and he also was kidnapped and transferred to Iran. But totally, if I want to say about the minorities in Turkey, you know that the main minority in Turkey is Kurds. They conclude more of 20 million of Turkey's population. But I think that you mean the minorities, dissidents
from Iran specifically, yes.
Yeah, like me, for example, like me, like refugees, like those who are residing in Turkey now. Yeah, they are mistreating, they are humiliating, they have been humiliated by, for example, let me to clarify this to your audience. Let me to go back to refugees. For example, there are a lot of refugees in Turkey from minorities, Arabs, Kurds, Baluch, and also Gulag and Turks, Iranian Turks, I mean Azeris. But among them, the Kurds bear double discriminations because Turkey see all of the Kurds as the enemy, no difference where they are from, which part of the Kurdistan or other countries they are from. They are enemy with Turkey. This is what Turkey said. And I think Turkey tries to hold their cases, their files, to put pressure on them to leave Turkish soils. I have seen many files, including Kurds in Turkey as refugees, that they have bear a lot of pressure to leave Turkish soil, to go to the other countries, or Turkey tries through immigration office to close their files or to give them the deportation letters to leave the Turkish soil. This is some examples of what minorities like Kurds, among them refugees appearing in Turkey. And about it, when they refer to immigration offices in Turkish cities, they are mistreated. They treat like the enemy. They are humiliating. Police officers humiliated them, mistreated them, and they are fearing to object to this, because if they go to judge, they have no rights, because they are refugees and they should respect the regulations of Turkey, the rules of Turkey. But we shouldn't forget that Turkey is in contract with the UNHCR from past years, according to 1951 Geneva Convention. Turkey should respect all refugees. They have rights according to this contract, to this convention. But unfortunately, Turkey don't look at this attracts, don't pay attention to, it's not important for Turkey. Just what's important for Turkey is the political and economic relations with other countries as Europe. As you know, in these years, Turkey has threatened Europe by refugees. Every time they put pressure on Turkey to treat with refugees as human beings, Turkey threatened them to open the borders with millions of refugees. This is a weapon in the Turkey's hand. This is a weapon that Turkey is using every time. Besides them, $billions of dollars is given to Turkey to stop refugees inside its territory, not to let them to go to Europe, for example. You understand what I mean?
And what is the size of this Iranian refugee community? How many of these people there are in Turkey currently?
There is not obvious data with us, because, as you know, from the late of 2018, UNHCR has announced that it has finished the registration of all refugees, and it transmitted it to Turkey immigration. But according to our researchers, as journalists, and with the contact with every city in Turkey, daily I received from them messages, telephone, from the refugees inside the Turkey. There are about 27,000 to 30,000 asylum seekers and refugees. All of them not refugees, because most of them is not yet considered, recognized as refugees. They are asylum seekers. But totally the number is between, I think, 27 to 30,000 people, Iranian, I mean, in Turkey. But if you want to know about the other populations, for example, Syrians, Iraqis, Afghans. The biggest population is regarded to Syrians refugees, about 3 million to 3 million and a half. But all of them are not refugees. Most of them are living as war wounded. I mean, those people who displaced because the war, and they are residing. Yeah, they are resettling in some camps between Turkey and Syrian camps. They are not refugees. They are managed by the Red Cross. Yeah, they have not registered their names as refugees, but I think about 500,000 refugees, Syrians are refugees. Those who registered their names by UNHCR or by immigration office, Turkey immigration office. The Iraqis in the second range, they are about, I think, 150,000 refugees in Turkey, and after that Afghans, and then Iranians. In the other steps, there are refugees from Somalia, Sudan, and some other countries, but their population is not very big.
Now, looking at the Iranian refugees specifically, we see that Iran and Turkey, although they have had their geopolitical differences on many issues, one of the areas of cooperation between them has been with respect to the issue of the Kurds, because Iran is opposed to any Kurdish rights movements, and so Turkey has also made various excuses against any Kurdish autonomy or any human rights movements. Now, can you tell us more about the nature of the cooperation between Iran and Turkey on this particular issue?
Sorry, because of the sound coming out, I didn't understand. I didn't hear you clearly. You want to tell about the Iran and Turkey cooperation on what?
On the issue of refugees in general and Kurds specifically, because they both have they see it as a problem. But what exactly, how do we see that cooperation? What is the formal and informal agreements, and what actions, joint actions, have they taken?
Listen, Turkey tries to, I think, Turkey tries to hide more of these actions from the media, from the press, I think, because as you know, what is happening now to journalists, to refugees in Turkey is hidden. We just hear about them, for example, 1 month after what happened to them. Yeah, it's because of that you know Turkey is a country that's dependent on Iran for natural gas, for electricity. Yeah, they have, as I told you before, a great economical relationship. Because of that, Turkey tries not to put pressure on Iran. Iran has an open hand in Turkey. I think, but at that some conditions that it's revealed, for example, in press, in media, and Turkey has no other choice to arrest them, to capture them. But in most cases, Turkey, I think, tried to turn a blind eye on the cases which happened to Iranian dissidents. I think because Iran is one of the origins of the refugees. We call the country of origin. Yeah, country of origin of many refugees. Turkey is a transit country, not a third country, because Turkey is not safe for us to resettle it. We are here for some time, and we should be transferred to a third country. Turkey is a transit country. Because Iran and Turkey are neighbors, they are near. Most of the Iranian dissidents try to come to Turkey to register the names as refugees. This is a great amount, source of money, source of advantage for Turkey, because these refugees spend money in Turkey. When their families come to visit them, they're spending money in Turkey. They rent houses, they pay bills, they buy foods, they buy things. All of this is money, hidden money that goes to Turkey pocket, okay? So Turkey is satisfied with this situation. But in some cases, when Iran put pressure on Turkey in mutual relationship, Turkey tries to put a blind eye. But in some cases, Turkey has no other choice to revolt them. Because when press, when journalists, media reveal some cases, Turkey try to reveal it too. Because if do not so, it will be very worse for Turkey. Because here is a bit different with Iran, as you know, because here is secular. Although the Islamic party is in power, but here the institution is secular to some extent. It's better. It's better than Iran. But I told you, this is a mutual relationship. We should look it from the viewpoint of economical and social. What is not important for these two countries, I think, is human rights, is human beings' souls. Okay, they look at refugees as numbers, not as human beings. I think.
Now, getting more into the specifics of that, you mentioned earlier Karimian, the assassinated Iranian TV TV producer,
TV manager, Iranian TV
TV
manager.
manager.
Yeah.
And there was some talk at around time of his assassination a few years ago that he was, besides his official position in the media industry, he was also involved in drug sales and sanctions circumvention on behalf of Iran, and that Turkey was involved in some of these anti-sanction operations, and eventually they decided to get rid of him. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And Turkey has allowed him to be assassinated. They welcomed the assassins because it was convenient to make him quiet. What was going on? And what happened afterwards?
Well, as you know, Turkey now is a country for Iranian officials for money laundering, for money washing, for building houses, to transmit their monies from Iran to Turkey. Okay, this is a win-win process. Win-win process for Iran and Turkey. Why? Because the Iranian officials, Iranian corrupt officials, exit the people's money to Turkey, and they are money laundering here. For example, they buy houses, they buy hotels, and they invest on industry, they invest on buildings, and so on. Iran is agreed with this because this is a way to cancel the sanctions, as you know. Okay. And some of the Turkey banks have involved in this process. As you know, Halkbank, the manager of Halkbank was tried by court inside US, Halkbank. And Turkey is agreed with this process too, because Turkey needs money. You know, some 4 or 5 years, when $17 billion come from Iran inside Turkey, and because of the sanctions, Iran denied to say that it belongs to its officials. And Turkey seized this money. You know, Erdogan said in a video that God has sent us $17 billion in this situation. And because of that, Turkey, as I told you, is a good place for Iranian officials, crafts, IRG forces, to exit the billions of dollars and invest in Turkey, and then again transmitting this money inside Iran, because they want to turn the sanctions. If Turkey is involving in this process directly or indirectly, no one knows. because there are no documents yet. But according to media and according to opposition, to journalists, those who are acting in these fields, they say that Turkey is involved in this process. You mentioned the John Persian TV manager. Unfortunately, I don't remember the name.
Karimian.
Yeah, that's right. He was assassinated in Turkey. Some said that it was because of the money problem. Some said it was because of the corruption. But no one knows what is really went on in this process, and it's not obvious yet for us. And I think the judicial force of Turkey, in some cases like this, try to close the file, try to not telling the public what's going on, because I think now what's going on in Turkey is that I don't see a power in judicial force. I mean independence. There is no independence with judicial force in Turkey, because they are a part of government. They are not an independent force. I think they are part of government, as you know, because after the coup in 2016, the government tries to capture many of the dissidents, the journalists, those who were disagreed with the situations. And after that, I think the judicial force has lost its independence in reviewing such cases like that. Okay? So it's hidden for us now. No one knows what happens. But according to past cases that journalists have reviewed, we can say that it refers to sanctions. It refers to security forces, Iranian security forces inside Turkey. They have participated in these activities, no doubt. But no one captured, no one arrested, no files open in the court. Okay, they try to put these files in the shadow.
Now,
for the public.
Now, the Karimian case seems to have died down, but the situation with Habib Shabi, the Ahwazi from Sweden, who was lured into Turkey and abducted by the Iranians, now that's an interesting situation because Turkey is a NATO member. Turkey tried to impede the process of admitting Sweden to NATO, and under the excuse that Sweden was supposedly siding with Kurds in Syria and endangering Turkish national security, and made a big deal. And then Turkey said that, everything is okay, that they're not opposed to Sweden joining NATO. Meanwhile, you have the situation where a Swedish citizen is abducted from Turkey. Turkish services have allowed this abduction to take place and taken no action to prevent this from happening, did not cooperate really with Sweden on trying to hold anyone responsible for an abduction of Swedish citizen. Has this issue of this individual who was lured into Turkey, was there an implicit agreement between Iran and Turkey over the abduction of this Ahwazi guy? And where does Sweden come in? Because we haven't heard Sweden put any pressure on Turkey for its role in this abduction.
As you know, the name was Habib Sivet. The name of these Arab dissidents from Jibha al-Nizar al-Ahwaz. After that, Turkey said that we have captured a band, an Iranian band. At the top of them was an Iranian, unfortunately Kurdish, from Oromia city. I know the name, but can't remember at this time. The Turkish officials mentioned that he has run away from Turkey to Iranian soil. The head of the group, the band, but told that they captured some of its band members. They tried them. They put a trial for them in the court. But what was the final conclusion and decision? No one knows. This is what I told you. Turkey tried to put these kinds of files in shadow because it has the great effects on Turkish society, as you know, because the Turkish society in these days and in the recent months, especially because of the economical crisis, the Turkish population is divided. The government is divided into two groups: the government defenders and opposition. Most of the people now are not satisfied with this situation. They are objecting. I see all days inside the city, in shops, in streets, they are speaking about this situation. The price is very high, and people have no power to spend money as past. They are dissatisfied with this situation, and most of the talks are about the ongoing election in the next year. They predict that Erdogan may fail in this election. In the opposition, especially CHP party, may have a coalition with other parties to come to power again. Yeah, these are the realities of the Turkish situation nowadays. What they are trying to say that we are fighting against Iranian influence in Turkish soil. But what we see in reality is that we see no conclusion. What is outcoming, we don't know.
So imagine the opposition comes back to power. Would that affect Turkish arrangements with the Iranians at all, or do you think they will continue as per usual and will not have much impact?
I think if the opposition come into power in the upcoming election, it firstly tries to fix its damaged relationship with West, especially with Europe. Because as you know, nowadays, the relationship with Europe is not in a good manner, in a good situation. It tries to fix it. Because Turkey historically knows it's as a part of the Europe and tries to be a member of the European Union. So I think the first opposition tries to fix this one. Second, I think tries to put pressure on Iran to cut its hands from Turkish soil in such operations, in such hidden operations like kidnapping dissidents, arresting them, or putting pressure on the government to take them back to Iran. For example, let me to say something. Some of the dissidents, including me, the Iranian regime investigating their family members daily, weekly, monthly, in order to put pressure on them to go back to Iran. What is waiting for them? Everyone knows. Jail, execution, and torture, and long-term sentence, prison. We know all. But I think the opposition tries to decrease these operations, to put pressure on Iran, and to decrease its dependence on the Iranian energy. I think it tries to find some new ways to displace with the energy need in Turkey, because Turkey is highly dependent on Iran, especially natural gas, Iran and Azerbaijan. And it tries to be more closer with the Europe because they have common interests. especially confronting with threats like this, with security threats, with such operations, with I think terror threats inside their soil. This is my prediction. I think it may be so.
Now, getting back to the Iranians in Turkey, we are seeing that there's been a number of attempts to abduct or kill Israelis who have been visiting Turkey. There was an attempt to kidnap, a businessman to kill a businessman that was thwarted. Then there was an attempt to abduct a number of different people. Eventually, a group of Iranian terrorists were arrested by Turkey. Now, who exactly were those terrorists? Was that IRGC? Were those separate groups that Turkey will claim with just bands of criminals? Who exactly was behind those efforts?
Yeah, well, Turkey has revealed a few information about this operation because they took it as a secret operation. They took it as a security matter for their country. But as I told before, the Turkish relationships with other countries differs from situation to situation. For example, as what is happening to Iran is the same with Israel. As you know, some years ago in Switzerland, in Davos, as you know, Erdogan and the president of Israel had some conflicts in speaking when they accuse each other that suppressing their people. After that, they closed their embassies inside each other's soils. But in the recent months and especially recent year, Turkey has tried to fix this problem. For example, with arresting some people that has tried to kill the Israeli people, the Israeli citizens, and the Israeli traders inside Turkey. Israeli people who have, for example, invested in Turkey in organizations, in investment, building, other projects. Turkey revealed some of the cases to show Israel that it tries to develop the relationship, that it tries to decrease from the tension, that it tries to fix this relationship, which has broken from some past years. And Israeli, on the contrary, is willing to fix this relationship too. Because Israel, as you know, is located in a place in the Middle East that is surrounded by some countries that don't mention Israel as a formal state. They don't accept it. They have historical problems with Israel. But Turkey is different. As you know, Turkey is a Asia-Europa country, Eurasia country. Turkey is originally Asian, but tries to behave as a European country. So I think Turkey-Israeli relationship is going to be better, but what happens to bands, to groups, Iranian groups that have been arrested is not clear for us because they leaked few information for the public under the name of the country, as you know, immunity and security manner.
So we don't what is possible about who were those people? Were those Turks who were working for Iran? Were those Iranian terrorist organizations? Or were the criminals who were playing a kind of a dual intermediary role? Who were exactly those?
What is common in such cases including with Iranian cases. In two cases, what is obvious for us that the band is composed of both Iranian and Turks. Yeah, some of them are Iranians, some are of Turks, because as you know, Turkey is a head of the mafia in the world. I want to say the mafia, one of the mafia's head starts from Turkey. Yeah, because Turkey is in the way from Asia. It is the door of entrance from Asia to Europe, to West. So it is clear that some Turkish citizens is always involved in these cases, both in Israelis and in Iranian dissidents. That's clear. But who is responsible majorly, who is in the first step, we don't know. Because what we know is according to Turkish officials. And as I told you before, they leak a few information on these cases because they take it as a national security case. But what's obvious, Iran can't do such assassinations, kidnapping without Turkish citizens' help. Of course, they are involved. Of course.
How were they able to get that far as getting to the identifying these targets without getting the attention of Turkish authorities much earlier on? They got to the point of actually physically taking control of some of these Israelis or abducting the Iranian dissidents. So they had to have long intelligence planning inside the country, and they must have been there must have been some level of coordination with the local authorities. So explain to me this mysterious situation. These guys, are plotting, they're traveling back and forth from Iran and Turkey, they're meeting, they're getting information about the location of these people. Then at the last minute, when they almost succeed, they get arrested. And then right after that, Erdogan goes to Tehran for a big summit, and there is no mention of what just happened when you had Iranians trying to kill Israelis on Turkish soil. You have Egypt making a statement saying that if Iran tries to do the same thing in Egypt, it will affect the relationship between the two countries. I don't know what happened in Egypt and whether they tried it, but they made that statement anyway. Turkey goes physically travels Erdogan to Iran after this happened and made the news and says nothing. So my question is, how is it possible that on the one hand, Turkey is looking to improve relations with Israel? It supposedly saves lives of all these people. But on the other hand, it clearly, they operated for long enough that they got to the point of grabbing somebody physically, and he managed to escape without Turkish intelligence intervening up until that point that the guy escaped on his own. What is going and then nothing happens, and there's no big scandal with Iran, and there's nothing, no diplomatic issue, no statement from Erdogan about don't do this again. Is it fair to speculate that the entire situation was coordinated to make Turkey look like they're doing something, and the whole thing was a setup?
Listen, I can't mention Turkish authorities directly in these actions, because I haven't any document now. And besides that, I'm living in Turkey now, as a refugee. But what is obvious is that Iran has a spy network in many countries in the region, Arab countries, Turkey, many countries. Iran also has some immune houses, some secret houses inside these countries for interrogating people, for jailing people, and for transmitting them into Iranian soil. That's obvious. Iran can't do these things, can't do these operations. I have written before on these topic and publish some pieces. Iran can do this without helping from other sides. Who is the other sides? We can guess, but perhaps we can mention directly. But as I told you before, 100%, there are some Turkish citizens who help Iranians to do that. If these citizens is in the relationship with Turkish authorities, we don't know. As a journalist, because they have no fact, I have no documents, I can't mention something. But in any country, as Iran is a rich country, you know, so petrol, natural gas. So Iran has bought many people who is spying for it for money in Arab countries, in Yemen, in Syria, in Lebanon, in Iraq, in Pakistan, Afghanistan, Turkey. And even, you know, some months ago, some news has published inside Israel that some citizens were spying for Iran, you know, perhaps. Iran has tried to spread its principles, Islamic principles, Shia principles into other countries, into other regions, from Lebanon to Palestine, to Israel, to Iraq, to Turkey, to Cyprus, to everywhere. So no doubt, there are some people who are helping Iran. Is there any direct relationship from these persons to the authorities of that countries? We don't know. In some cases, may have direct relationship, but we have no document yet. In Turkey, we have no document yet. May there be some documents that be revealed in the future? No one knows.
Now, well,
but there are, there are some hidden hands that help these people, that help Iranians. Some hidden hands. You know what I mean by hidden hands.
Now, politically, we are seeing that Israel and Turkey just normalized relations. For the first time in 15 years, they will be sending airplanes to each other's countries. At the same time, Erdogan just criticized Israel, attacked Israel during the latest flare-up with Hamas, and despite Israeli requests to get rid of the Hamas members who are living in Turkish territories, they're still there. And they continue to be there. And as I said, Erdogan was just in Iran. He had a discussion with the Khamenei. He launched an operation in northern Syria without permission from anybody, and still Erdogan manages to be okay with all sides. How is that possible? Khamenei, Putin tell him, do not attack northern Syria. Erdogan says, I'll do it anyway. He goes and does it, nothing happens. Erdogan goes, tells Israelis, let's normalize. But meanwhile, you know, what is he doing to prevent these Iranians from continuing targeting Israel? He doesn't say anything in public. He doesn't make any statements to Iran or to Israel or to anybody else. He doesn't say what measures are taken to prevent this from happening in the future. Iran, you know, gets a bunch of Iranian agents arrested in Turkey. There's no problem. He just, you know, normally there would be a scandal if something like that happened. You know, you arrest a bunch of people he claims to be Iranian groups. Iran does not react. How do you explain Erdogan's ability to play all these sides and nobody asks any questions?
I told you before, Turkey is a country that wants to take advantage of the situation. Turkey is a country without underground resources, without petrol, without gas. You saw in the Ukrainian-Russian war that from one side, Turkey sells drones to Ukraine, on the other side, buy seeds from the Russian. Yeah, you know. Turkey is a country, because of the geopolitical situation, it tries to take advantages of the situation that's happening now in the region. From one side, it tries to threaten its relationship with Islamist countries like Iran, and they are now in a coalition with Iran, Russia, and some other countries against the West. In Syria, for example, they are a coalition against the West. And from the other side, it tries to normalize its relationships with countries like Israel, with West. This is double standard policy of the Turkey, especially in the Islamist party, which is now in the power. Okay, because of that, I said to you that after the election, the situation may change, because the opposition looks the world completely different from this party that's in power in Turkey. You can't fight against with the West, with its democracy, with its values, with Israel, with the free countries, with the free world, fight against them, and from the other side you want to normalize your relations. It's not possible.
Now I'm seeing contradictory behavior in Erdogan's actions. So on the one hand, okay, he's trying to get economic and political support from whoever he can before the elections because he doesn't want to lose. And the opposition is, sees that nothing is working. The economic situation in the country is catastrophic, and even with all these normalizations, there's a good chance he may lose. On the other hand, he makes promises to all these other people. He'll get rid of Hamas, he'll get rid of the Muslim Brotherhood. Meanwhile, we're seeing openly Turkey hosting Muslim Brotherhood. He brought in the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, had a great meeting with him, told everybody to shut up. But at the same time, the media continues to attack him, continues spreading Muslim Brotherhood messages, and continues hosting gatherings, of people who are constantly attacking Saudi Arabia. So on the one hand, okay, Erdogan has motivation to try to be politically, get support, get money from Saudi Arabia, from Israel, from whoever. But on the other hand, he continues to attack them, and everybody sees what he's doing. People are not stupid. They all have intelligence services, and they all have politicians who read the newspapers. So is Erdogan really afraid of losing the elections, or is there something else going on? Because he's not acting like somebody who is changing his behavior. He's acting like somebody who still wants to keep his base happy. So why is he going through these motions when it's obvious that he's not really changing anything?
The leaders of our party have variously and seriously expressed that they are a part of Muslim Brotherhood. They don't hide this reality. But as I told you, there are some countries in the world with double standard policies. Among them are Iran and Turkey. When they are in a strong condition, they try to attack others. This is the same for Iran and Turkey. But when they are in the weak position, like these positions, both for Iran and Turkey, they try to reconstruct, to remake, to refix their relations with others, because they know that it's impossible for them to live in the world, in the free world, without any normal relationship with others. They know that, they are politicians, but they look at their beneficials. Okay, so this is double standard, and with the countries that trying to do these double standards, I think the world and the free world should have a very real policy to make it clear for them that's impossible for you to play in this game, because you should obey the rules. This is the game. This is the game. Democracy is the game. All of us know that. But all the players should obey the rules. It has some rules. You can't attack some free worlds from one side, and the other side you preach the rumors of free world, and you preach normalization with other countries. This is impossible for you. But as I told you before, some of the West countries, especially Europe, they fear, especially from Turkey, about the refugees. They fear it puts more pressure on Turkey. Turkey may open its doors to refugees, and millions of refugees will go to Europe. They have saw this before in 2015, you know, when millions of refugees went to Europe in 2015. And because of that, they try to play with Turkey in order to it be replaced with another government that try to fix these problems. As I told you before, the opposition may see dreams that it can be have the great victory in the upcoming elections. But this is normal. Listen to me. Iran is suppressing people, killing demonstrations on the streets, jailing them, torturing them. Okay, but when the UN Human Rights Council is holding every year, Iran sent a group to this mission, and they are preaching human rights. But all of know that this is a great lie. I think the world should make these countries responsible for their actions. To know that every action they do has some risks for them. If they want to be in a normal relationship with the world, they should obey these rules. They should respect democracy. They should respect human rights. They should respect other countries' independence. For example, Israel. Israel is a formal country with a formal state, which is recognized by the United Nations. Okay, but as you know, many Muslims, many countries like Iran try to attack it, try to damage it, try to kill its citizens. This is double standard democracy. Unfortunately, I can't say any other thing.
Now, getting back to the Kurdish issue, Turkey has repeatedly used the excuse of PKK and terrorism to attack Kurdish communities in Syria and in northern Iraq. Lately, but besides PKK fighters, they've also killed civilians, and sometimes they've indiscriminately targeted areas with civilian populations, knowing that civilians were going to be killed. Now, all of this initially, Turkey has had good relations with the KRG, with the Barzani family in Iraq, but now, after repeated incidents with civilians being killed, even Baghdad has problems with Turkey's actions, and even KRG is skeptical that their real goal is just PKK. How do we? And Turkey has been trying to play off these, different Kurdish factions against one another. Do you think Turkey's continuing attacks on civilians are bringing different Kurdish groups closer together, or is it still hasn't made any difference?
First, let me apologize you that I forgive me, please, not to respond to questions about the PKK directly, because as you know, I'm living in Turkey as a refugee.
Sure. And by the way, I'm not asking you to take any positions on that.
We are not allowed to speak about these topics because we have faced some dangerous threats. But what I can say about Iraq, it is that every country should respect the independence of the countries, the territories the soils. I don't know what's the goal for Turkey's attacks to Iraq. They pretend or they say that they are attacking the Turkey's dissidents, the Turkey's enemies. But anyhow, if Turkey wants to be respected for its territory, on the other side, it should respect others' territories too. I think no country can attack any other countries in this world under the name of security, immunity, I don't know, enemy. This is just, I think, yeah, the words governments use to attack their dissidents. I think in a democracy, every voices should be heard. Everything should be free to speak its minds, to speak about its ideas. No one can be jailed. No one should be jailed. They should respect the freedom of expression. But unfortunately, the condition is completely different, as you know, because I think the countries, in the top of them, the Western countries, look at their interests, not what is going on in the countries. It is not important for them how many souls are lost daily in the Middle East countries. What's important for them to keep their interests in the Middle East, in the countries like Iran, like Turkey, like Iraq. And because of that, they, in sometimes, most of the times, they turn a blind eye to these events. But I, as a journalist, as a human rights activist, say that everyone, every government, every state should respect the democracy, the human rights. No one is allowed to attack others under any name, under the name of the national security. Is not allowed, but they do. And this, I think, an international community power is needed to stop these destabilizing activities, especially in the Middle East. What can I say? I hope that the situation is going to be good, to be better in the future. The countries respect each others, the nations respect each others, their states, their territories, their borders, and no one be killed under the name of national security. I don't know any other name.
Well, to me, the logical conclusion is if you start attacking civilians, the only thing that will, and indiscriminately without even trying to minimize civilian casualties, whatever your national security excuses, it's only going to make those civilians be recruitable by the organization you're attacking. They're going to see you as an enemy, and instead of, and they will are more likely to become a threat to you than if you take measures to protect them. So whatever Turkey is doing is clearly counterproductive. They're creating a cycle, a perpetuating cycle where more people are going to be skeptical of their efforts and not wish to resolve whatever the problem is in any diplomatic way. Like that to me is very logical to see what's going on, because after all these years and all these separations, I don't see anything changing. It hasn't made anybody stop whatever they're doing. It hasn't ended, PKK existence, and it certainly hasn't created. This has been no strategic success for Turkey from its actions. So I don't understand why they keep doing the same thing. To what end? It doesn't seem to be aimed at changing. It doesn't seem to be aimed at creating a more secure environment, because these air campaigns, no matter where they are, if you only do air campaigns, they are not going to resolve the problem. You need to, whatever you want to do, this is not going to. So to me, it seems to me that the aim in all of this is something different. Whatever is being said, the conclusion may be something else that has nothing to do even maybe with Kurds themselves, and has to do with some other issue. I don't know what that is. Territorial, maybe establishing territorial presence in certain areas. maybe negotiating with the governments of those countries for resources. I don't know what that is, but it seems to me that the message is different than what is being stated.
I think, Irina, I think the problem is conceptual. I think what should be deeper is some concepts, some images in our minds. The problem is Turkey, I think, is historical. It is a historical problem. The problem is not these days problem. It's because of the Ottoman emperor, which remains till today. Turkey totally, I think, had problem with Kurds. I said you before, not deeper, where they are living, from where they are coming. Iran, Iraq, Turkey, Syria, Europe, especially, and even Europe, other countries which Kurds are living. I think we should change our minds, way of looking at other people. About 20 million, 1/4 of the total population of Turkey are Kurds. This is a great population. Totally, what's saying that about 30 million people, Kurdish people, are living in the world. Okay, so they are humans. They have rights. They have human rights. No one can kill them, can threaten them, can jail them, suppress them under the name of national security. I think Turkey should solve the problem peacefully with the Kurds. I don't know what they really need or they really want in Turkey, because I focus especially on the Kurds in Iran because of the fact that I'm living in Turkey. I, in some cases, look at them seriously. But what it's important that Turkey should, I think, solve its problem on the table and negotiation with these people. They are human beings. They are citizens of this country. They haven't come from the Mars. They haven't come from the other planets. They have born here. They are living here. They've grown here. Their motherland. Historically, if we want to refer to history, they have been living for centuries in the Mesopotamia, in this area of the world. I think finally Turkey should seek some peaceful solutions for this problem. The war is not I think, the solution, because, as you know, we see that this war is continuous for more than 40 years, and they haven't reached to a conclusion yet after 40 years. So if they want to continue it, I think they wouldn't come to an end for this crisis. They should, I think, seek more peaceful ways for this problem, to give some portion of power, some portion of wealth to the Kurds, I think. And also, as you know, their parties are not totally free to take part in the democracy process in Turkey, you know, the parliament. Some of the important figures of the party are arrested and are jailed. I am speaking as a journalist who see these realities in Turkey. I hope that Turkey and the Kurds one day came to this conclusion, came to this fact that the only way to reach peace is negotiation, not war. I really hope for that day to see that the peace is holding in Turkey, and everyone is advantaging of the situation, of the political situation, of the economical situation. And we see the day that not only Turkey, but countries like Iran is a normal country, is a normal government, yeah, that look respectfully at the other neighbors, don't interfere and in the inner matters of their countries, don't want to spread terrorism in world, don't want to send weapon and money to terrorist groups. I hope one day we will look this situation, but I can't mention what date exact, but I hope soon the peace will be all in the Middle East, especially in the world, totally.
One final question. A few years ago, there was an effort to oust Erdogan and his party, AKP, from power through HDP, and many of the Kurds ended up lining up with HDP, but at the end it didn't fully work out. Now there's a lot of skepticism about that party. I believe that it's not effective, that Erdogan gutted it, and to the extent he took away immunity of some of the parliamentarians, threw some people in prison, and infiltrated the party with some of his own supporters.
Sorry, what did you mean actually by some activities 4 years? Do you mean coup?
No, I mean politically, during previous elections, there was an attempt.
Yeah, changing from prime minister to presidency, you mean?
Do you believe that HDP will have any significant role next year, or do you think some other parties are going to be more particular among the Kurdish and the refugee population have their support? Who do you think is the party that is most likely to be attracting new following in the coming year to oppose Erdogan?
I think that the refugee crisis now in Turkey is not really a crisis. I think Turkey government has changed into crisis, because I think mainly they don't want to lose this population of refugees, because they help the economy of this country. They don't earn any money from Turkish government. Even UNHCR and other countries will give billions of dollars annually to Turkey, but no one is benefiting from this money, no refugee. Refugees are working with low prices than the Turkish citizens. They are working in works that the citizens don't want to do that. They have no insurance, I mean medical insurance, job insurance. Okay, they spend money here, they pay rent house, they pay bill. When their families are coming to visit them, they spend money here. And I think that the refugees totally have gained for Turkey. And because of that, Turkey is ready, is willing to hold these a large amount of these people inside its territory. Okay, but if an election be held, I mean the upcoming election, I predict that this party will lose the power. CHP has a good relationship historically with Kurds in Turkey. Okay, they have the common viewpoints about the politics and economy. Even CHP may not be able to govern itself by itself, I think, to win the elections, but it may make coalitions with other parties, especially Kurds. I think the next government, I predict, will be CHP and Kurds government, if they are allowed. I mean, if they are allowed to take part in the elections, if they are not be forbidden by illegal activities. Okay. What I see nowadays in Turkey, I hear from its citizens, a large majority of them are disgusted grateful, dissatisfied with the situation. They put a lot of pressure on their shoulders, especially with economical situation nowadays. The economical situation is in the first step for them, first grade for them. Because you know that the Turkey has not a stable economy. It depends on the foreigners' investment in this country. It has a lot of debt now, you know. And because of that, it needs a government to normalize its relationships with the world, especially with Europe, with Israel, with other countries. And I think this government cannot do anymore with this situation. The change of the government is predicted. And who will come to power? What I see nowadays, people will have faith in Japan to change this situation. But Japan itself, as I told you before, may not win the election because it needs more chairs in the parliament. So it may need the Kurdish help if they are allowed to take part in this election. I think the next government of this country will be a Japan Kurdish coalition, or some other small parties, because MHP may not take part in with Japan because they are completely different. MHP is in coalition with AK Party, the Erdogan parties, but Japan and Kurds historically have good relationship. They may shape the other governments. And as I said before, I predict that they first try to normalize relationship with world, especially with Europe, because they know themselves originally a European country, not an Asian country. And I think if this happens, it will be a very great change in this region, in the Middle East, because Turkey is an important country. It is, as I told you before, the entrance door from east to west. So any change in this country will affect other parts of the world.
But we have seen, if there's one thing to see, is that Erdogan is exceptionally good at political survival. Why would he not ban any small or even not so small party from running in elections if they can change the outcome against his interests?
Sorry, I didn't understand you clearly. Repeat it again, please.
Why would Erdogan not ban the party if he believes that they're going to be a problem for him politically?
Why didn't ban the parties? Erdogan ban the parties, you mean?
Yeah, why would he not ban the party?
Which party you mean? I don't understand your question clearly.
Why would he not ban the party?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Why would he not ban the party that is causing him that can change the outcome of the election? You said if they are not banned, they can be in the coalition. Why would Erdogan not ban them?
Yeah. You mean the other parties than
Yes.
the other parties?
Yes.
I think Erdogan and its parties can do this because it's according to Turkey constitution.
Mm-hmm.
That those parties, and also Japan is a very important party. It's a very that has its roots in the Turkish soul among people. It has many defenders inside Turkey. I think it's not easy to ban it from the election. Turkey may be able to ban Kurdish parties from taking part in the election, but Japan is impossible, I think. It's impossible. And if Japan win, as many people predict, many sources predict, JHP may not be able to make government itself. It probably need other chairs in the parliament, other parties, to be in a coalition, and the Kurds is in the first step because they historically have a good relationship with each other. I don't know if I could answer your question or not.
So basically, for Erdogan, trying to ban them completely would be a huge political problem because of their level of influence.
Yes, if he's be free, he will ban them. But according to constitutional laws, Turkey constitution, it's impossible. It's very hard. It is very hard because CHP is not like, for example, HDP, like Kurdish parties. It is a historical party that has roots among Turkey people. May face a great demonstration inside Turkey, or may face some other threats. For example, interior war, civil war inside Turkey. It's very dangerous for this government to ban them to take part in the election. I think because of, the dangers are more great than the benefits for them to ban them.
The other issue, of course, is bribery. In the past, Erdogan has been accused of buying off blocks of voters. Do you think it's going to be possible for him now?
Erdogan accused what?
Of bribing blocks of voters from other parties to vote for him, to vote for AKP.
I know. You mean the corruption in the election, yeah?
Yes, exactly.
It's normal in all the Middle East countries. We see activities like this, but the difference is that this time the gap between these parts and its defenders is very large. It's not similar to, for example, 4 years ago. It's completely a big gap between these two parties and the defenders. And as I told you before, what is important for people, Turkey people, the first step is economy. And now they bear a lot of pressure on their shoulders. They can't buy, they can't spend money as fast, okay? Because of the lowest price of Turkish liras in comparison with other foreign monies like dollar. So they're seeking some ways to change the government, and it's possible through election, okay? And the JHP have told every year, that it is going to seek to normalize its relationship with the other countries, with the world, with the West. And when they want to normalize this, the effects of these actions is directly on the economy. As you know, the politics and economy have a direct relationship with each other. When the policies of a country is accordance with the world policy, it obeys the rules, it normalizes the relationship with others, the economy will improve. If they want to disnormalize, destabilizing the other countries, the region, the economy decrease. This is in economy science, that economy and policy have the direct relationship with each other. And because of that, I think JHP is seeking to normalize its relationship with other countries, with West. And this will affect directly the economy of the Turkey. And because of that, they have found a large of defenders in these days. And it's going to be great and great. as we are going toward the elections, they will find larger people, larger voters, especially those who didn't vote in the past elections. This time want to come out, and vote for CHP, and for those who want to change this situation, because there is no will in the government of this country to change this situation. It has, I think, the needed time. It has the complete chance and time to change the situation, but it didn't. It didn't because in the economy, they are obeying the Islamic rules. Islamic rules. Erdogan has said every time that we can change the central bank policy. We can't pay more money to people that are holding their money in the banks, because it's against Islam rules. It's haram. And because of that, there is no will in this government to change this situation. The initiative will is with the opposition, and I think the opposition will win the next election.
Well, it remains to be seen whether Erdogan's populist appeal to heroic is basically proof sufficient for him to overcome all the problems that he's facing, or whether Europeans and others can breathe a sigh of relief when Erdogan's political and economic mismanagement finally catches up to him. In the meantime, we'll be continuing to watch the situation and hope that there comes an opportunity between now and then to put pressure and improve the plight for the people, for the refugees, for the minorities who are suffering under the current policies. Thank you so much, Sirwan, for joining us today and for highlighting these important issues that are generally not covered in the mainstream media in the United States, and frankly, even a lot of the time in Europe as well.
Thank you, Irina, for inviting me. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak with your audience. As a refugee, and a journalist, I hope that the situation will change, and the change will affect also the refugee lives, the refugee situations here. That the next government, opposition, will take a correct policy towards the refugees, and not to treat them as hostiles. In fact, it's territory to help them to exit this country and resettle in a safe country. And I hope that all these situations may change and will help the world to face peace, freedom, and democracy for all the people in the world. Thank you again, and thank you very much for giving this opportunity to me.
Thank you so much for everyone who joined us today. This was Irina Zuckerman, the editor-in-chief of the Washington Outsider, and with us today was Mr. Mansouri, Mr. Sirwan Mansouri, is a journalist specialist in the rights of the refugees in Turkey. And we were discussing the Iran-Turkey relations and the plight of the minorities and the plight of the refugees, particularly those from Iran. Please join us again next week, same time as usual, Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. for our next program. Thank you.
Thank you.